Okay, now we're into part 2 of this, and I'm going to drag over. Go back and we'll complete our spline. So in part 1, we got drawn and we got the spline started. So you should be using your spline tool. We're going to come up along this here. We zoom in and out as we need to click there. You want to click frequently along here, but along some of the smoother parts of the airfoil, you can spread those points that you select out a bit. As we get near the end, some of those points that we select will need to be a little bit closer together to smoothly wrap that curve. Now, you do want to select the point immediately at the front of your cord there. That'll make the steps when we create our leading edge and spar notches a little bit smoother. So we're going to come back along here, and we'll come back there. Let's zoom in and close this out. There. And right there. Now, I'm stopping just short of the end. If I close that spline to itself, it's going to try to curve this back. So instead of closing the spline on itself, I'm going to select the line tool and go from here to that point, and then click OK and the line tool, and that will give me the sharp leading edge. Then if I need to, I can select where those two went together and kind of blend that smoothly there. Okay, so that finishes the sketch of the outside profile of the airfoil. Now we need to go in to make our leading edge. We're going to make also notches for where our spars will go across. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to select a line. We're going to come up here and we're going to create our leading edge. We're going to click there and there. Now, right there, you see that symbol? That means vertical. So I kind of was moving the line around until I got to vertical. I'm going to close my line tool with the escape button. And the other thing I'm going to do is, you see here we've kind of strayed a little bit. So I'm going to grab some of these points I created when I made the spline and just modify that curve a tiny bit, get us closer to the original there. I like that a lot better. There we go. Okay, now that we've drawn this line, if you look at your instructions, this leading edge needs to be a 1/4 inch back because we're going to put a solid piece across in front of the ribs, so that part won't be needed. We're going to use our dimension tool. We're going to dimension from that point we created at the end of the cord line. So dimension tool, point at the front of the cord line to that vertical line we created, and we're going to bring that dimension down. We're going to resize that to 0.25 to our 1/4 inch. That's our leading edge that will be cut off. Now we're going to create a couple vertical lines that we'll use, but they're not going to be permanent lines. They're going to be construction lines. At this point, we'll also take this cord line, and I need to close out my dimension tool escape. We'll take this cord line and convert it to a construction line. And while we have construction checked, we're going to draw, make sure that's on, 2 vertical lines. So we'll put one in here, and we'll put another one back here. There. Okay. Those 2 vertical lines are going to be the location for our spars. Now, if you look at your instructions, you'll see that these vertical lines need to be about 25% of the distance back from the front. 25% is 1/4 of the distance. This is a 6-inch airfoil. Now, if you do the math, that's 1.5 inches. You can either, I'll show you 2 ways to do that. You can dimension from the front to that line, bring it down, and change that to 1.5. You can also, when you do that dimension, we'll do it at the back. We'll select that back point of the trailing edge, bring that down. Instead of typing in 1.5, instead we're going to select that 6-inch dimension and say divided by 4. Okay, so that's part 3. That'll get you going. I'm going to have to pause this video and then, or sorry, this is part 2. And in part 3, I'll show you how to put the squares in here to create these notches.